Good morning. It is Thursday, June 11th, 2026 at 10 a.m., and I am calling to order this meeting of the Public Safety and Justice Committee. Let's begin with a roll call, please.
Vice Chairperson Lee
Present.
and Chairperson Ellenberg.
I am here as well.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We'll move directly to public comment. This is the portion of the agenda set aside for members of the public wishing to address this committee on matters not on today's agenda, but within the purview of the committee. We'll take speakers first in chambers and then on Zoom. Do we have any cards?
We do not have any cards for speakers in chambers, and we have one hand raised on Zoom.
All right, just making a last call. I see nobody dashing to get a yellow card, so we'll close the queue with our single speaker.
3 minutes?
Let's do 2 minutes,
2?
please.
Okay, 1 minute while we change the timer. First speaker is Ben Z. I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute. You have 2 minutes.
Yes, hello, good morning to you all. And, it's really, really sad now in our county that we've re-elected District Attorney Jeff Rosen. He's concealing the sexual abuse of my children, and he's incentivizing physical assault on me. And it's just a shame because Daniel Chung, he tried to protect my children, and he got fired for it, and he was the one who didn't get re-elected. So, I mean, it's terrible because there's no accountability. And by re-electing Jeff Rosen, it's going to create more misconduct, more children being raped, more crime. And I mean, on the East Coast, you have the Epstein class, and now we have the Rosen class. And I don't know what we can do. I think we should remove him or do a recall. I don't know what to do or what we should do. Thank you so much for your time.
That was our final speaker.
Thank you very much. The consent calendar is up next, and let me see. I don't have anything to remove from the consent calendar, Supervisor Lee, but I would like to offer some direction around item 8, which is the semi-annual report on jail population. The California Supreme Court recently unanimously ruled that setting unattainable money bail to effectively jail a defendant pretrial is unconstitutional. The court clarified that money bail, if used, must be reasonably attainable, and defendants charged with minor offenses cannot be held simply because they are poor. In light of this ruling, I'd like the board to receive an off-agenda report that examines this ruling's potential impact on jail population size. And specifically, I'd like the report to provide some insight on the number of individuals currently incarcerated in jail that, due to the Kowalczyk ruling, should be released. And based on current trends of charges, the number of people charged, the number of people who are detained on money bail, what estimates might we make regarding how much the jail population could possibly decrease? I'm also interested in learning whether a reduction in jail population as a result of this ruling would address the consent decree mandates that the PLO's contempt motion flags. And that would be my motion to approve the consent agenda. Hello, Greta.
Good morning, Supervisor. I'll just say from administration's perspective, we had exactly that same curiosity. We actually had a meeting of a number of our public safety and justice stakeholders a few weeks ago, at which I learned that apropos of this request, the district attorney's office has already culled a list together of current in-custody defendants who they believe might be impacted by this ruling, who are represented by the public defender's office.
Right.
Provided that list to the public defender's office, and I understand the public defender's office is currently in the process of analyzing those. in addition to the kind of ongoing motion practice in individual criminal cases for defendants who are coming into the criminal justice system. And when I made a similar inquiry to the one that you just made, was told that towards the end of the summer, perhaps the early fall, and I'm looking at Sarah McCarthy now, who could probably provide an update, that the district attorney's office and public defender's office would be in a good position to provide administration with an assessment based on some of the analysis they're doing of those individual cases of what they believed might be the impact of that decision on the jail population. So happy to weigh in for administration to say we'll do whatever is our part of responding to that as quickly as possible, but did want to just perhaps give an opportunity to the district attorney and public defender's office and the alternate defender's office, if we have someone here, to weigh in on what they think might be the timeline associated with really having that impact. One final thing I would say is I do know that they also flagged for me that there are a number of questions left open by the California Supreme Court's decision in that case, including how ability to pay would be proven up in court that may have significant impacts on the aggregate impact of that decision on the jail population. And so with that,
Thank you. But
Yeah.
before you do that, it's now apparent that this isn't a straightforward request. But since we've begun the conversation, what I would do is withdraw the motion to approve the consent calendar, move us to item 8, which we have already started, have that discussion, hear from the district attorney and public defender. We'll take public comment on item 8. Yes, I should have realized it was opening more of a discussion than straightforward direction. So if that's clear, Nancy, we are now in item 8. Okay, thank you. Mr. District Attorney, or?
Would you like to approve the consent calendar changes before we move to item 8?
Did you have any changes? Sure, we can do that. I move to approve the consent calendar with the removal of item 8.
I'll second, meaning that there's nothing on the consent calendar.
Okay, but then we've got to take, are there any speakers on the consent calendar? Anyone wishing to speak on? So sorry, I know this is a little bonkers.
That's okay. There are no requests to speak.
Okay, then let's
On the-
vote.
Vice Chairperson
Aye.
and Chairperson Ellenberg?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, so we are jumping up ahead in our agenda to item 8. We don't need a presentation. I've already presented requested direction, which would be my motion. If there's a second to the
Yes,
motion.
I will second it. And
Thank
let's-
you. Okay, back to you, Mr. District Attorney.
Oh, thank you. And I just see that item 8 was added, or I was a little confused, but.
Understandably.
So I know that, that David Angel and others from my office have met with their counterparts at the Public Defender's Office to talk about the impact of this new ruling from the California Supreme Court. And we're happy to share with administration what we shared with the Public Defender's Office. The report that I received back, and when I say report, I mean a verbal report that I received back from our people, was our assessment is it will have minimal impact on the jail population because of the practices that we already have here, which de-emphasize bail, I mean, just for lack of a better term. But we're happy to, share the result of our discussions. And I do think there's also, as Greta alluded to, some ambiguities in the Supreme Court ruling and some areas that haven't been completely figured out yet. That's our assessment.
Thank you very much. And from the Public Defender's Office.
Nothing significant to add. I think I would agree with everything that's been reported. We are working through the list and identifying the people who we think are eligible for some sort of relief and putting them forward. We're encountering some backlogs in the court system because there really wasn't a place designed for these type of hearings previously. So working with the court, working with the district attorney's office to figure out the process. It remains to be seen what impacts it will have on the jail population, I think, for all of the reasons that have already been stated.
Thank you so much. And I think that report will inform, I suspect I already know the answer, that it's going to have minimal impact on our costs because we still have so many fixed costs associated with the infrastructure. But I think it is important to provide something to the public that notes how we are thinking about this and what potential impacts are. So the motion that I made earlier will stand. And thank you. Did you want to add something else before I go to Supervisor
I
Lee?
was just going to add one final additional comment to what the district attorney and Ms. McCarthy shared, which is my understanding is that the impact of this decision in other counties will be quite significant. And so I actually think it will be particularly valuable for the public to understand why the impact here might not be as significant given some of the reform work that's already occurred in this county. Less people be concerned that the decision isn't being implemented as fully here based on the lack of a significant impact. But we do need to and will be doing holistic assessment of our jail population projections as we head into a anticipated presentation to the board in August with what will be the recommendations for much needed investment in our jail facilities, planning for a future state that accounts for what our jail population projections are. And so part of what was animating administration's request for an impact analysis of this decision is really trying to refine those population projections based on the potential impact of this case, but also other factors that we think may impact our jail population up or down. So the board can expect to see a refined jail population projection come forward alongside recommendations on investments in our custody facilities to meet consent decree and other requirements.
Great. So would it be appropriate for this, oh, it's an off agenda that I asked for. Is the fall a realistic time for that so that it coincides somewhat?
I'm seeing Sarah shrug her shoulders a bit. I think it would be helpful for us to receive, for the board and for administration to receive a report of whatever is known in the fall, because that's when we will be bringing forward recommendations on investments in the jail population. Given the timeline associated with any major facility construction project, we are also trying to make sure that the phased approach allows for certain forks in the road in that project that where we can go down them or not based on what might be evolution of our jail population up or down, hopefully down. But I think it would be helpful to just get a report, even if the report says that there's still certain things that are yet to be determined by the courts in terms of some of the unfleshed out components of the impact of the ruling that may require further judicial decisions for us to really understand the full impact.
Excellent. Did you want to add something else?
I just wanted to add, Greta, for information that you're looking for from the DA's office, to just contact David Angel. I think he's the one working on this.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Lee?
Yeah, thank you. So, Ellenberg, I want to say that this is truly a very landmark decision from the California Supreme Court to really understands the ridiculousness of having folks being stuck in jail for just being poor. One thing not surprising to me is, having served on this county for the last almost 6 years now, is that this is something that we don't believe in to start with. I want to thank both district attorney's office and the PD's office, public defenders, has been working on this for many years. In any case, I would say that despite all that, I do think, by going through the list, I think we'll be able to identify some. But because of the fact that we've done such good work prior, you mentioned that there won't be a huge impact of the number of people being affected. So I'll say if there were only, let's say, a couple of dozens people being affected at the end of the day, that's really only about 1% of our population. Is that why you're saying that's why the impact is fairly small?
Yes, that's correct. I think that I think the ruling from the Supreme Court continues to move California towards the goal of not using bail as a condition of release. And my view and policy as the DA for the last several years is not to use bail as a condition of release. So we'll know, in our conversations with the Public Defender's Office, we sit down and if this is like prior discussions we've had with the Public Defender's Office over other criminal justice issues, there'll be some group of people that we agree this doesn't apply to. There'll be some group of people that we both think it applies to, and there'll be some group of people that we have a disagreement about whether it applies, and we'll let the courts sort that out. That's my sense of how this will play out.
Thank you.
Thank you as well, and I would note that even if the number has a small impact at the population level, for even those dozen or 2 dozen people, that makes a tremendous amount of difference. So happy for whatever we are able to do there. Do we have any public comments on this item?
There are no requests to speak on this item.
Okay, let's vote on the motion on the table, please.
Vice Chairperson
Aye.
Lee and Chairperson Ellenberg?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Back to our regular order. Now we're going to move to item 4, which is to receive the annual report from the Office of Gender-Based Violence Prevention for fiscal year 2024-2025. Good morning. Not yet. Can Carla get some help, please? Thank you.
Maybe there we go. Sorry about that. And I thought I'm trying to share my screen. I don't know if I think the cord is in the right place. Does it happen automatically? Or are you able to do that?
Displaying it.
If we're not successful here in a moment or so, can you go ahead without the slides? I'm sure that's not ideal. I'm sorry. No worries.
And here we go. So good morning. Thank you for your patience. My name is Carla Collins. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm with the Office of Gender-Based Violence Prevention. And I have a brief high-level presentation on the last few years of work. I'll make it even briefer due to that delay. But let's see. Okay. So OGBVP tries to serve as a bridge between community and the county. We strive to center survivors in the often complex work that encompasses domestic violence, sexual violence, and human trafficking within Santa Clara County. We do what must be done in partnership with colleagues throughout the county and with our many community partners. Now, while we have some important initiatives to address gender-based violence, one of the biggest areas of work is the administration of community investments in the form of direct service contracts with community partners who are on the front lines of response with survivors. So let me take just a few moments to talk a little bit more about this. In 2024-25, we launched an RFP for $11 million in services, including funding for our 4 state-certified domestic violence emergency shelters, for confidential advocacy for survivors that include everything from safety planning to case management, This includes also some legal and therapeutic services by licensed service providers, and in a separate allotment of one-time funds, we've continued funding since 2020 our 2 state-certified rape crisis centers. Thanks to our Board of Supervisors and County Executive, we were actually able to increase the amount of funding for the rape crisis services so that our Children's Advocacy Center could continue having specially trained staff on call to meet every child survivor's right to an advocate. So overseeing these 11 contracts with 23 different scopes, staffing plans, and budgets from the beginning of the RFP process through monthly invoices and reporting to amendments to ensure that there's no interruption of services is a very detailed and labor-intensive process that requires a team from our CEO, fiscal, and contracts folks. It requires us leaning on DESJ colleagues, some extra help, and myself to maintain. And the most important reason that we do this is because there's a great need in the community for these services. These are free services for survivors and are available to any resident regardless of gender, sexual orientation, economic status, and regardless of immigration status. And what the data tells us is that this is just like, we are here just like anyone else or anywhere else on the planet, and that domestic violence, sexual violence, and human trafficking happen right here in Santa Clara County. On any given day, our DV shelters are full, and our agencies are at capacity working with survivors and their families. Now, this slide highlights that sexual violence is also a reality, and it's important to note that all of these crimes are understood to be underreported to law enforcement. In addition to the administration of community investments of contracts for direct services, OGBVP also has initiatives to promote awareness campaigns, to engage men and boys in the work to end gender-based violence, to work with system-involved families that are also experiencing domestic violence, and to be a resource to our community to provide sound data and develop strategic plans to address gender-based violence. We hold a vision of our community free from violence to guide every decision on how we spend both our budget and our time. So I don't need to remind anyone here that these are tough times, and as our community endures relentless accounts on safety, we are doing everything we can to be flexible and adaptive with our community partners and to make time with our county colleagues to normalize these issues of safety and centering survivors, no matter how stressed the work is. We also look to ways of restructuring the work to amplify the importance of addressing gender-based violence and ensuring everyone knows that the county takes all of this extremely seriously, that there are services available that are free and confidential, and that we want folks to be able to heal, and we actually want people to be able to thrive. So we're continuing to plan and collaborate and even use these difficult times to learn and reimagine so that we can all come out stronger and safer. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much for the report. I'm going to look first to the public for comments on this item, please.
We have not received any cards on this item, and there are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay. Then again, thank you for the report, and thank you for the critical work that you and your partners undertake, Carla. It's literally life-saving work. Thank you. I appreciate the metrics that were highlighted in the report. Aside from program utilization numbers, which of course indicate output, can you share ways in which we measure impact on the clients that we serve?
Sure. Oh, good, I did not mess up the microphone. Here we go. So we've actually just restructured some of the reporting on the contracts and trying to move away from outputs and looking at quarterly reports that actually highlight the things that are hard to kind of quantify, but that show impact, like how long a person is staying in service, what are the changes that they're feeling and recognizing and accomplishing, what are the goals that they're setting so that we can better understand the whole process of stabilization, which is typically where we're meeting them as they come to these services in crisis, and we're trying to get them from that point on to from stabilization to really do some healing work. That's a long-term process, multi-years, but we can measure that with whether or not they're getting into more secure housing, for example, and not going from one shelter to the next. Things like that give us a better sense of, are we just kind of getting by and helping in the moment, or are we able to get them on a path that might be able to get them to secure a job? The economic security is incredibly important. So we have work, particularly with our advocates at our 4 shelter agencies, which include the Y, Next Door, Aki, Community Solutions, and also Maitri and places like the Young Women's Freedom Center that are measuring more in depth.
One thing that would interest me, since we can't standardize the outcomes because obviously every client needs something different, but what I would like us to be able to understand is whether we are meeting those clients' needs. So whoever is serving them, when they first meet with a client, is there some kind of needs assessment? Do you need housing, medical attention, job? Because that, to me, would seem like the best metric of were 100% of their needs met, 90%. Is that already in place, or is that something that do you think should be considered?
That is in place. They do intake, and it's primarily around housing and work and economic empowerment. So it still looks different for each client. Sometimes that means, getting a driver's license or being able to open a bank account and those sorts
That's
of
what I
things.
mean, rather than, how many people got bank accounts, that's irrelevant. But
Right.
of our clients, when they express need, what percentage of their need is met? Do 80% of the people who need housing get into housing? That to me is the critical piece, is respective to what they actually need. Are we successful?
That is a great question, and we're working much more closely. In fact, we just had our semi-annual meeting with the Office of Supportive Housing and our DVAC partners yesterday. And it's really still a lot of infrastructure that's being put in place, how to limit and streamline things like a confidential queue that we're using to get survivors placed ideally at a faster rate.
Right.
Those numbers are going down, which is a good sign, but it's not long enough yet that we can truly measure progress there. But we're working towards that, and we're working with the different folks there's so many different pieces that are at play, so.
Supervisor, if I may as well, as part of our new contracts, we're going to be asking for quarterly impact summaries with data collection and stories about clients and impact of those services so that we can measure them in more timely. So that's going to be in place moving forward for this contract.
Great. And stories are good. I'm interested also just in
Sure.
the quantitative data.
We'll be looking at that as well as part of those summaries.
Especially as our contracts, and I'll talk about this next, become even tighter.
Yes.
And we have to prioritize amongst organizations that we know
Yes.
are doing a good job. So what I would be interested in seeing by the time we're back a year from now from the annual report is more granular that can help me identify, are we meeting the individual's needs? Are we getting for whatever that is?
And I do want to say that our gender-based violence agencies have been very receptive partners, particularly in the last 6 months as we've been working with them on the new contracts and the deliverables and data collection. So I think they've been very amenable to our suggestions and are very much wanting to partner with the county. So we're very gratified by that.
That is particularly gratifying, especially since this budget environment is it's such a nightmare, and we know that we are making cuts to contracts that are successfully providing vital services. The recommended budget states that there were no service line deletions. Can you confirm that that is the case and whether you've heard otherwise from any of our provider partners?
That's true. We did not eliminate any category of service. There was a reduction, and it is at about 10% for the gender-based violence services. And we've given the contractors the flexibility to, if they have multiple categories, which many of them do, to move their total funds among the categories as they see fit. At this point, we're working very closely on getting the changes in scopes back, but it does not appear that any will be eliminated.
Good. As hard as this year is, if there are no significant changes at the federal level, we have to anticipate even deeper cuts to county programs and services in the next fiscal year. And that, to me, is just going to make it yet even more important that we have a very clear prioritization system. And I don't know what it is, and I know that everything is important, but we're going to have to drill down deeper than that. I know we have public speakers coming forward on this item who may also have suggestions, but want to make one other point first, and I'll speak to this more in item 6 when we discuss the newly proposed Justice Services and Support Department. I'm very mindful of the deep engagement and collaboration that took place between staff and community partners during the creation of your office. And I sincerely hope that our partners will continue to communicate and work with us if the board approves the JSSD new office. And finally, just want to share that I'm looking forward to hearing the results of the prevalence study and needs assessment in October. Yes?
Yes.
Excellent. Let's go to public comment, please. I see no lights on.
There are no requests to speak
thought
on
we
this
did.
item.
My mistake. Okay. Then my motion is to receive the report and to make some considerations on how we might evaluate outcomes based on the percentage of specific needs met by clients. And is there a second?
Second?
Thank you very much. Seeing no other lights, let's vote on this item.
Vice Chairperson Lee
Aye.
and Chairperson Ellenberg?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion
Thank you, and
carries.
thank you very much, Carla. Item 5 is to receive a report from the Probation Department relating to the effectiveness of cognitive behavioral intervention for intimate partner violence offenders for the period January 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2024.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us, Chairperson Ellenberg and Vice Chairperson Lee, and members of the Public Safety and Justice Committee. My name is Melissa Childers. I'm a manager at the Adult Probation Department. One of the areas that I oversee are the domestic violence units, and then I'll let our team here introduce themselves.
Good morning. My name is Erica Lopez, Intimate Partner Violence Program Manager for Probation.
Good morning, Eduardo Aceves, Associate Research and Evaluation Specialist with Probation.
Great, thank you.
We have prepared a presentation that we're happy to summarize for you all. However, if it's your preference, we can move directly to questions. So please advise how you'd like to proceed.
Happy to have a summary of the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks again, everyone. So briefly, I won't go through all the entire slides. I've selected 3 slides that I feel capture the key components of the evaluation. So this first slide here is just a quick summary of the effectiveness of our CVI program. So what we saw through our evaluation was that participating in the program was effective at reducing rearrest, and recidivism compared to clients that did not participate. What was even more effective for those clients that did graduate from the program, those clients saw a greater effect and reduction in rearrest and recidivism. And this was true for both clients that participated in our low dosage program and also our high dosage program. So this next slide just summarizes our program a little bit. It highlights the curriculum that we use, which is the University of Cincinnati's Corrections Institute's UCCI CBI IPV program. And it's split into two different program types. The first program is a 52-session curriculum, and that's set aside for clients who score 5 or higher on our ODERA score, which is the assessment we use to identify risk of reoffending in IPV-related offenses. The second program is our low risk, and that's a 16-session curriculum. And finally, here we have highlights that highlight the rearrest and recidivism rate for all our program graduates. So as you can see, the graduates that completed the program have a much lower rearrest rate and also a much lower recidivism rate than clients that did not participate in the program. Yeah, I think the clients that did not participate had almost double the recidivism rate and rearrest rate compared to the clients that completed the program. And that's all the 3 slides that I wanted to share with you also. That's it.
Thank you so much for the report, for the full ledge file and deck, and also, just as a model to anyone else who's thinking about this, a summary of a presentation without having to go through all of the slides, which we've already all looked at, and doing it just the way you did was beautiful. So just thank you both for content and for process here. I do have questions, but I will look first to see if we have public commenters on this item.
There are no requests to speak on this item.
Okay, then coming back to all of you, clearly your data shows that cognitive behavioral intervention programs work. So I'm interested to know what comes next. And Judge Amity, I don't know if this is something that you want to weigh in or if you've got other information from our judicial partners. Are we hearing anything in terms of expanding the pilot? Sure. The cognitive behavioral intervention program that was done that is showing for people convicted of, it's post-conviction, right, of intimate partner violence. Are we expanding? I'm turning to you. I think that might not be the right. No, I'm thinking of judicial partners, but that is not necessarily the court, who is a judge. Let me just turn back
speak
here.
to that?
Yes,
Can you
thank
hear
you.
me?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, at this point, we are extended through 2027, and I think it's either 6 or 7 counties that were initially involved. I would believe it was 6, and then a 7th county came on board. So we are extended now through at least 2027. So we're continuing with the same work.
Did you say expanding more counties?
There was 6, correct me if I'm wrong, there were 6 counties initially part of the pilot, including Santa Clara County. And then there's been at least 1 more, if not 2 more counties come in as part of the pilot. So we've been extended at least through 2027 at this point.
That's amazing. So it may be a little bit premature to think about future funding considerations, but do you see a pathway to this becoming a regularly funded program if we are consistently seeing this good data?
Well, I think the data is showing that it's working, and we've expanded with more providers. We've expanded with consolidating our DV clients into more of a centralized area with higher training with our staff. We've brought on a program manager who's a fidelity expert in the curriculum. So we're holding our providers very accountable to what they're delivering to our clients. So I think the data will continue to show that it's working.
Good. I hope we continue to identify funding for it. Thank you very much. I'm happy to move approval to receive the report.
Excuse me, if I could.
Second that. Sure.
Oh,
Go ahead.
of
Go ahead,
course.
Nick.
Oh, yeah, of
Sorry.
course, Nick. Go ahead.
Specifically to this program, so this was one of those initial statewide pilot projects that we've continued to explore. We are devoting resources to this and will continue to based upon what is certainly shown to be a very, very positive program that shows results. We've sent this also to our partners across the state to say, hey, look, this is what we're doing. We are showing some pretty significant improvements in outcomes, and we certainly, are a county and a department that follows evidence-based programs, and we're working with UCCI and making sure that we're staying to the fidelity of this. But I think this is exciting for the state to see that this is something different, and it works, and that was originally what that legislation was for. So it's a really, really good program.
It really is encouraging. Thank you. Supervisor Lee?
Yeah, so
You
first-
seconded the motion,
Yes, I
correct?
already did,
Okay.
yes. I just want to say first, thank you so much for this great report, and the numbers speaks for itself. Right? Having 50% recidivism or arrest rates, these are very encouraging numbers, clearly. As Nick has also mentioned, how this program is being shared with other entities in the state, is this something that we could offer for individuals outside of county? Do we have the resource to do that? And of course, we'll charge them for it because cost recovery. But is this something that we could also offer others since we're already holding the classes?
So this is a Santa Clara County project. I don't know if other folks on probation from other counties, they can certainly reach out to us and we can recommend the UCCI and this model for them to then adopt within their county. That's what I'm kind of hoping across the state that they'll do.
That's what you meant. Okay, all right, sure. Thank you.
We do have a DV roundtable with all the counties throughout the state eligible to participate in that, just to share information. So Santa Clara County is hosting one in January of 2027. So they rotate quarterly. So we are able to learn from other counties and share what's working in our county. So that's a pretty valuable resource.
Definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And then my second question is, looking at the participants being predominantly Latino and Black participants, how is culture being factored in this this therapy program?
Really good question.
We account for that by having multiple program providers. So we're looking at our risk and responsivity, the needs of the clients, and we have clients that, we have programs that have different languages available. We have different programs for different genders available. We even have incorporated some things that allow providers to work with people who have learning disabilities that need a little bit extra coaching. So I think we've accounted for a lot of the needs of clients just by having different opportunities to work with different providers that can address that.
Great, thank you. No, this is outstanding, yeah. It's really all good news, and thank you so much for the report.
All right, I see no other lights on, so let's vote on this, please.
Vice Chairperson Lee?
Aye.
And Chairperson Ellenberg?
Yes,
Thank you, motion carries.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item 6 is to receive the report from the Office of the County Executive relating to bail reform efforts and implementation of the Bail and Release Work Group and alternatives to incarceration programs. Casey. And I'll just note, because this item I do believe we have speakers on, so we'll hear the report. I will then turn to the public for comment, and then the discussion will come back to the board.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just getting my slide ready. You give me one moment. Okay, let's see. Give me 1 second. Sorry, on my end, it's not looking. Let's see. We'll stop here. That might be the wrong slide. All right, we'll start with the comments first, and I'll get my slide up for JSSD. So good morning, Chairperson Ellenberg, President Lee, Casey Halkin, Deputy County Executive. I am joined by several colleagues on the dais here today and by a representative from the Public Health Department, who I will let introduce herself.
Good morning. Angelica Diaz, Director of the Healthy Communities Branch with the Public Health Department.
Thank you, Angelica. So we are presenting today on the current status and updates related to the bail and release and alternatives to incarceration workgroup recommendations, and to discuss a proposal to create a new department with a coordinated prevention to recovery framework, the Justice Services and Support Department. As this committee will recall, the board established the bail and release work group in 2014. The goal of the work group was to conduct research into best practices for reducing unnecessary pretrial detention and ensuring efficiency and fairness in the pretrial process, and to develop recommendations for the board for achieving best practices in Santa Clara County. The 2016 final report included 18 consensus-based policy recommendations, of which the board approved 16 for referral and for further study. Since that time, administration and the Office of the County Council continued to implement or assess the feasibility of the approved recommendations and to provide regular status updates to PSJC. And as of May 2026, that work is complete. In 2022, and led by Chairperson Ellenberg, the board initiated the Alternatives to Incarceration Work Group, which brought together various stakeholders, including community advocates, directly impacted individuals, law enforcement agencies, and representatives from county departments, in a series of meetings designed to develop recommendations around community-based alternatives to incarceration and recommendations to safely reduce the current jail population. The three groups included 1, intervention at the start, 2, the criminal legal process, and 3, reentry services and programming. The final report was presented to the board in June of 2023 and presented 8 recommendations involving 37 strategies developed by the ATI work group in their effort to explore community-based alternatives to incarceration. So for both the bail and release and alternatives to incarceration work group, the updates on the recommendations are detailed in 2 extensive attachments connected to the report. We're happy to answer questions later, but I will not go through all those recommendations. So transitioning now to the proposal to create a new department, the Justice Services and Support Department, I would first like to begin by talking a bit about the board's overall vision for violence prevention. In 2025, under the leadership of Chairperson Ellenberg and Supervisor Arenas, the board adopted the Community Violence Prevention Strategic Plan. The plan addressed the incidence and impact of community violence in Santa Clara County and emphasized evidence-based approaches to both prevent violence from occurring and to address the immediate needs of those impacted. The plan also outlined a public health prevention model for violence prevention, which categorizes intervention strategies into 3 levels: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Just for the public's awareness, primary prevention takes place before violence occurs and involves programs and strategies that both reduce factors that put people at risk from violence and encourage factors that protect individuals or communities from risk of violence. Whereas secondary and tertiary services occur after violence has occurred and focuses on the consequences of violence and the immediate needs of both the person who was harmed and the rehabilitation of the person who caused harm. This model frames community safety as a dual approach, with pathways for secondary and tertiary violence interruption services, with a continued focus on primary prevention as a public health issue by addressing the root causes of violence and crime. This shifts the issue of community safety to a more expansive approach that addresses the social determinants of health alongside criminal justice interventions. So the Community Violence Prevention Strategic Plan shapes and informs the coordinated framework of violence prevention services provided by both the Public Health Department, which is primarily responsible for primary prevention, and the new Justice Services and Support Department, which would be a key provider of secondary and tertiary prevention services. So what is the Justice Services and Support Department? This was discussed at length at the budget hearings in May, but for the benefit of this committee and the public, it consolidates a series of small, non-mandated violence prevention and interruption programs currently spread across the organization. Many of these programs were facing cuts that jeopardize their ability to remain independent. This new department, which would initially exist within administration and report to a deputy county executive, creates a more unified and holistic continuum and structure, while reducing contract and service duplication. It strengthens accountability and, most importantly, helps to preserve those vital services that would otherwise have been significantly reduced or eliminated. We will be showing you a visual in a moment that outlines the various services that would be included in the department, but it also includes, just for everybody's awareness, reentry services, pretrial services, and various violence prevention services that are more secondary and tertiary interruption, including the Neighborhood Safety Unit, which was currently a part of probation. The proposal presents the board with an opportunity to combine these programs in a strategic manner in one department, to lay a foundation for long-term success, and to build a holistic framework on which these programs can ideally grow in a different fiscal environment, which we recognize may not be for a few years, but will certainly happen one day. So I would like to go ahead and share with you the visual now, and we will go ahead and take questions whenever you are ready. So let's see, I will get this up for you. Okay. And that concludes the presentation. We're happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. I am going to go to the public comment now, and just framing that this item includes information about the newly proposed JSSD and the potential reorganization of pretrial reentry, Office of Gender-Based Violence, South County Youth Task Force, Child Advocacy Center, and the Neighborhood Safety and the Neighborhood Services Unit. Just wanted to make that crystal clear for any folks who are wishing to make public comment on this item. And as always, we will hear first from speakers in chambers and then on Zoom. Nancy, who do we have?
We currently have 11 speakers in chambers and no speakers on Zoom.
Okay, I see nobody else dashing to fill out a card, so we'll close the queue at 11 speakers, and that's 2 minutes each.
Okay, when I call your name, please approach the podium. There is a microphone built into the podium, so you just approach and you may begin speaking. I'll call the first 5: Angel Santos, Tina Martinez, Michaela Powell, Mia Ojeda, Anastasia Ramirez. And when you approach, if you could please state your name so that we can ensure that those who submitted a card has an opportunity to speak. Oh, at the podium right here.
Hi, good morning. We were told to we'd speak public comment for item agenda 6.
Yes.
I think we put
This
the
is
wrong item agenda number on our public comment cards. Are we still allowed to provide
Yes,
public
this is
comment?
the
Okay.
appropriate time for
Okay,
item 6.
perfect. Thank you. So good morning to every single one of you. My name is Anastasia Ramirez. I work in South County at the nonprofit named Clara. And I wanted to come before you not only as a community member, but as a mother and as someone who works directly with system-impacted young moms and caregivers. So those individuals who've been in the system, whether it was when they were underage or whether they were of age. And I see the challenges that they face as mothers and caregivers and how important it is for them to access support systems that make them feel safe, welcoming, and trustworthy. And especially as a mother, if my child or a young person in my family needed that help, I would want them to feel comfortable reaching out for support without fear and hesitation or concern about being connected to a law enforcement system. And that is why I am emphasizing the establishment of the, a new office, but that's totally separate from a law enforcement system. And the reality is that many young youth are willing to engage in services that when they're offered through trusted community organizations that built relationships within our neighborhoods, not necessarily an organization that works directly with law enforcement, kind of like the South County Youth Task Force. That's why I believe prevention, intervention, and alternative to incarceration programs should be supported through an independent Office of Justice Services and Support and connected directly to CBOs. These organizations are separate from law enforcement oversight, which allows them to build the trust that is necessary for youth to participate honestly and meaningful in programs designed to help them succeed. It's not about taking away opportunities from youth, it's about strengthening them. It's about making sure resources are invested in the organizations already doing the grassroots work and making a difference. Thank you.
Good morning, members of Board of Supervisors. My name is Tina Martinez, and I'm here to support the funding and establishment of the Department Office of Justice Services and Support. As a mother, I know how important it is to have someone to turn to when your family needs help, whether it is support for mental health, housing, parenting resources, or youth services. Families need to feel safe asking for assistance. Often, when services are connected to law enforcement agencies, families may be hesitant to reach out. As a parent, you do not want to worry about being judged or misunderstood when all you are trying to do is get support for yourself or your child. That is why this proposal matters. A Department Office of Justice Services and Support would allow services to be directed towards community-based organizations that have built trust with families and are already doing the work of prevention and support. As a mother, I want families to feel comfortable asking for help before challenges become chaos. I want young people to have access to trusted adults, mentors, and services in environments where they feel welcome and supported. It helps ensure that support is accessible to those who need it most. I want you to support the establishment and funding of the Office of Justice Services and Support. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angel Santos. I'm a South County youth born and raised in Gilroy, and I'm here today as someone who has personally experienced the justice system. At one point in my life, I was incarcerated and honestly did not have much hope for my future. I felt like I was being defined by my mistakes instead of being supported to move forward. What changed my life was being connected to community-based organizations like Clara's. I found mentorship, leadership, opportunities, cultural connection, and people believed in me when I did not believe in myself. That support helped me stay on a positive path, and today I have not reoffended. I now spend my time mentoring and supporting other young people facing similar struggles. My story is an example of what happens when youth are invested in and simply instead of punished. Real violence prevention comes from trusted relationships, mentorship, opportunities, and organizations that are deeply connected to the communities they serve. Based on the Youth Justice Report's data shows why this work is important. In Santa Clara County, Latino youth account of 77% of youth arrests despite representing a much smaller portion of the overall youth population. Gilroy continues to experience some of the highest levels of youth justice involvement. My apologies. Gilroy continues to experience some of the highest levels of youth justice involvements in the county and the highest number of juvenile arrests among South County cities in 2024. In Gilroy alone, there were 55 felony arrests and 72 misdemeanors arrests involving youth last year. These numbers represent real young people, families, and futures. When I look at my own experience, I know that what helped me was not punishment. What helped me was having people and organizations that invested in me, guided me, and gave me opportunities to succeed. That is why I'm asking you to invest directly in community-based organizations that are already doing this work every day. If we want better outcomes for our youth, we need to fund the programs that build trust, create opportunity, and help young people thrive before they ever become involved in the justice system. As someone who has lived through the system and benefited from community-based support, I can tell you that these investments make a real difference. They changed my life, and they could change the many lives of many other young people in Santa Clara County. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Michaela. Good morning. I'm with Garas. I'm here today to advocate for increasing funding for nonprofit and community-based organizations that directly serve and uplift youth in our community. Research consistently shows that community-based nonprofit programs are more effective and cost-efficient in promoting positive youth outcomes and preventing crimes. Garas has helped me grow by providing a safe, supportive space where I can learn, express myself, and build confidence throughout their support. I have gained important life skills, developed a stronger sense of responsibility, and learned how to advocate for myself and others. I believe we have a responsibility to invest in solutions that empower youth. We should be building a future where young people are supported and not monitored, a future where resources go toward healing and growth, not punishment. Thank you.
As the next speaker approaches the podium, I'll call on the remaining individuals: Andrea Altamirano, Jesse Santos, Daisy D'Amato, Gianella Ordóñez, Brandon Sanchez, and Raimundo Armendariz.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Miohira Garcia. I am a youth participant at Clara's Community Agency for Resources, Advocacy, and Services. Clara is more than a program. It is a place trusted space where young people receive leadership development, advocacy opportunities, cultural awareness, and support from adults who understand our communities and our experience. As you discuss the new Office of Justice Services and Support, I urge you to ensure that funding is direct to community-based organizations like Clara's. You trust the organization because they meet us where we are, build relationships with us, and provide positive alternatives after school and in our neighborhood. Programs like Clara's help keep young people engaged, supported, and focused on their futures. They are already doing the work of preventing involvement in the justice system by investing in our growth, leadership, and success. I believe that we have a responsibility to invest in solutions that strengthen our youth and our communities. Please prioritize fundings for community-based organizations that have earned the trust of people that they serve. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Altamirano, and I work with Caras down in South County, where I lead our youth violence prevention and intervention program. First, I want to thank all of you for creating the new Office of Justice Services and Support. However, I do want to emphasize that if we truly want to improve outcomes for our youth, this office must prioritize investing resources directly into community-based organizations. So everyday organizations like ours, we're already doing the work. We're in schools, we're in neighborhoods, courtrooms, and family living rooms. We're mentoring our youth, we're responding to crisis, we're supporting families, and helping youth navigate systems that often feel overwhelming and unwelcoming. And most importantly, our youth trust us. They share things with us that they would never share with the government agency because we have built those relationships over years of showing up consistently. Too often, funding stays at the system level while community organizations are expected to do the frontline work with limited resources. If this office is going to be successful, it must not duplicate services that already exist. It should strengthen them, invest in the organizations that are already embedded in our community, that are already trusted, and that are already producing results. The people closest to the challenges are also closest to the solutions. So we ask that this new office partner with and fund community-based organizations as true leaders in this work. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse Santos, and I'm also here with Clara as a community-based organization serving youth and families all throughout South County. As the council launches the Office of Justice Services and Support, I urge you to ensure that resources are directed to community-based organizations that are already doing the work on the ground every day. I want to and will make this personal. My youngest brother, Trinity, has been impacted by the justice system, and because of that experience, he's never felt comfortable walking into a program that's being connected to the district attorney's office. Like many young people, he did not trust systems or institutions, and instead he came to Caras through our violence prevention and intervention program, where he found a safe space built on trust and relationships. Throughout our program, he attended Joven Noble, a cultural-based program, received therapy, completed community service hours, applied for scholarships, graduated early at 16 years old, and was awarded opportunities that he never thought were possible for him. Most importantly, he felt seen, supported, valued, and loved. That is the power of community-based organizations, We are often the first place young people turn to when they need help because we have earned their trust. We've given them that time. We've given them that attention. As you build this new office, I ask you to invest in organizations that youth already know, trust, and rely on. Community-based organizations are not just partners in this work. We are already doing the work every day. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. My name is Daisy, and I'm a youth justice organizer for When Young Moms Thrive program at Clara's in South County. Right now, many youth services are housed under the district attorney's office, but the DA's office is part of the legal system, and it has a focus on enforcement. Formerly incarcerated as a youth in our county's SYTF, I know firsthand that organizations that are partnered with these systems lose credibility with the youth who need the support the most. We fall through the cracks. I believe young systems impacted people like myself deserve supportive organizations that are rooted in community, prevention, and care. We continue to see high rates of youth arrest, detention, and racial disparities, especially in places like Gilroy. This tells us that we need to rethink where resources are going and invest more deeply in prevention, interventions, alternatives, and community-led solutions. Funding that should be directed towards community-based organizations is currently being filtered through systems that don't directly serve systems-involved youth. The nonprofit organizations doing the real on-the-ground work with at-risk and high-risk youth, like Clara's, should be trusted and funded directly. That is why we are asking the county to prioritize direct funding for community-based programs doing the work. When funding reaches organizations directly, it allows us to expand our programs, reach more youth, respond faster to our community needs, and create long-term impact. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Brandon. I'm here as a youth who is currently going through the system. I'm still fighting my case, so I can't speak on the details, but I can share what this experience has been like for me. Being involved in the system is stressful and overwhelming. It can feel like your future is uncertain and like people have already made decisions about who you are. Recently, I started getting connected to support through Clara. I'm just at the beginning, but even now I can say it makes a difference to have people who listen, who guide you, and who actually want to see you do better. What I need and what other youth like me need is support early, not just punishment after something happens. Programs like this give us a chance to grow, take accountability, and move in a better direction. I'm still in the process, but I'm here because I want something different for my future, and I know I'm not the only one. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Janela Ordonez with the Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits and co-convener of the REAL Coalition. On behalf of the REAL Coalition, we appreciate the proposal to create a new Justice Services and Support Department that consolidates violence prevention and intervention-oriented programming and alternatives to incarceration services. While many details are still emerging, we see potential in this approach as an important first step toward deeper investment in community-based violence prevention, intervention, diversion, and reentry strategies that advance both community safety and racial equity. We ask that community-based organizations, justice-impacted communities, and those with lived experience and youth be invited to participate in co-designing the department's structure, priorities, programs, and long-term vision before important decisions are made about a new department. And we support the ask for the county to convene a summit inviting these communities to the table as part of the process. Thank you.
Good morning, board. My name is Raimundo Armendariz. I'm the executive director at Caras, and I am here in support of the the Justice Services and Support Department. And just giving a little bit of my background, I've been one of the co-founders of Caras. We've been operating in Santa Clara County, and specifically Gilroy and Morgan Hill, for the last 15 years, since 2011. And my background really has been working with young people in the justice system since 1998. A couple things that I thought was important to share was that in the last 15 years, since the South County Youth Task Force has been operated under the District Attorney's Office in Santa Clara County, specifically Gilroy, youth justice rates have really not changed. I think since 2013, they were being documented through the probation department, and what we see is that Gilroy has consistently placed in the top 3 for youth arrests, youth detention, youth felonies, youth misdemeanors. And so we feel like it's high time that a new department, a new agency be given the opportunity to try to deal with these issues of youth arrest, youth violence, youth crime in South County. And we think that the JSSD, or the Justice System and Support Department, is the right place. We think also that instead of funding youth task force or the South County task force, that those funds should be funded directly to nonprofit organizations. I think in the past, the way it's operated is that we've had like a pass-through. Instead of the funds being directly spent on services and advocacy for young people, a lot of those funds would be trapped at the South County Task Force and then be distributed in smaller increments that are less impactful and are more difficult, make it more difficult for nonprofits to deliver services. So we would ask that you please consider instead using those funds to support the JSSD and to fund nonprofits directly, like Caras. Thank you.
And that was our final speaker.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all the public comments, particularly impressed by the group of youth, the number of you that came up from South County. Are any of you speaking, did any of you speak to the public for the first time today? Good for you. Your voices have impact. This is meaningful and worthwhile. I am so glad that you took the time to come speak to us today, and I hope that it's the beginning of lots of civic engagement from you. Thank you. It's also not easy to come up and speak in a microphone for the first time, so I want to acknowledge that. Casey, I want to begin by addressing the ATI updates. First of all, thank you. So let me really begin with appreciation. I think this approach is exactly the right way to reframe how we think about public safety in the broadest possible way. Before I get to the JSSD, let me back up, though, and ask about and make some comments about the ATI updates. We have made significant progress. There still is work that is ongoing, and I think that it merits specialized tracking. The current reporting structure, I love. It's transparent, it's easy to understand, and I'm concerned that if we roll ATI wholly into the work plan of JSSD, we might unintentionally diffuse the work and roll back the effort that has been made to coordinate tracking on the county's programs, policies, and services aimed at reducing and eliminating incarceration whenever possible. And I know that even if every recommendation had been completed, we still wouldn't want to lose the ATI framework, because that's largely what this is. We are working to avoid incarceration. So for those reasons, I really would like to keep the current ATI reporting structure as it is, even as we
with the matrix
move in this direction. Yes,
okay.
Please. Regarding the JSSD, I want to echo comments made by members of our community today and tremendous outreach that I've received since this was first introduced during the budget workshops, and want to uplift and emphasize again the critical need for stakeholder and community engagement should the board approve the creation of this department as part of the budget. I know that you know well that our stakeholders have very valuable insight that should be considered when developing the organizational structure. I see this beautiful chart in front of me. I want to be sure that we are co-creating the mission statement, the priorities, and the program designs for this new department. So if the board approves administration's recommendation, when do you anticipate that communication to begin in earnest? And what is the vision from the staff side regarding what this would look like?
All great points. So I just want to echo the thanks to our youth and to our organizations who are here. The best way for me to answer the question about the timeline in terms of community stakeholder engagement is it's really already begun. Many of those same agencies, many of the folks here in this room have reached out to me either directly or indirectly, have invited me to speak to them, to answer questions, have been very forthcoming with constructive feedback, and also with what their expectations are for moving forward. So my plan would be, providing that the board approves the new department, is to really hit the ground running on the community engagement and stakeholder engagement process. As far as staff, we do have several team members here on the dais who would become part of that new department. So I will certainly let them speak in terms of what the engagement has been thus far. We also have a few in the audience. And we've been having meetings. We have a violence prevention executive team that meets every other week. I've been having meetings with those who would be direct reports within the new department. I've met with who would be our new manager for violence prevention. I think those conversations have been, and again, I invite people to share their own observations. I think those conversations have been met kind of by echoing some of what we've heard from our youth with a lot of excitement. I think there's opportunity. I think people have questions. They want to be engaged. They want to be a part of it. But redesigning something, doing it together, doing it in a holistic fashion seems to feel right to both the staff and also the community that we're serving. I think that there's a lot of work to be done. And like I said, some of that work has already begun. But I think providing we are approved, that community stakeholder engagement would be really the first step in that process.
Thanks, and I appreciate that people are reaching out to you and that you're open to the conversations. I want to make sure that the opportunity is formalized
Absolutely.
in some way, because not everyone
Certainly.
will know to reach out to you. Not everyone
Yes.
has that access. So
It would be a formal process.
great. So I will be interested in learning about
Like a stakeholder engagement
community
plan.
conversations, engagement opportunities held in different parts of the county.
Absolutely.
And I would encourage you to turn to each of us on the
Yes.
Board of Supervisors to help with that outreach.
And I would love your
in our
team members'
districts.
engagement too, because I know you have direct contact with those agencies. Yeah,
Yeah, just a little bit.
just a ton.
Yeah,
just a ton.
we are very invested in this work.
Yes.
I know I have asked you this before, and I'm still
Yes.
not clear enough to stop asking.
That's okay.
But can you clarify for me whether the new JSSD would work in coordination with an Office of Community Violence Prevention, or would it supersede that effort?
I'll start, and then I'd like to turn over to my colleague in
Oh,
public
yes.
health, to Angelica. But really, the way that we've been thinking about it is that the violence prevention plan that the county adopted really is what is shaping our work moving forward for both the Justice Services and Support Department and also for the violence prevention team within public health. So the violence prevention program in public health is not considered, we don't call it an office, we call it the VPP, or the Violence Prevention Program. But they work very closely with me and also would work kind of in a dotted line format with the new department, to create that holistic spectrum between primary, secondary, and tertiary work. So I think the answer is a little bit more nuanced, and certainly we are absolutely, I think, open to board direction on how you would like it formatted. But we really see the violence prevention plan as being the backbone and the structure of this work moving forward, and the violence prevention work within public health and JSSD working in partnership to achieve these goals together. I think you will have a lot of comments on that too, but I want to make sure that Angelica has an opportunity to weigh in.
I definitely want to hear from you, and I also just want to be clear that the board has already approved
Established,
direction for an Office of Violence
Yes.
Prevention.
Yes.
Please, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson Ellenberg and Vice Chairperson Lee. I'm happy to go over this slide to illustrate a little more how that collaboration looks like, which is the next slide here. So on the left side, you see that this is focused on the upstream work that's housed in Public Health Department. These efforts focus on violence before it occurs. The green depicts what the specific initiatives are that are housed in the violence prevention program. Whereas in the middle, you see the community engagement, including groups and coalitions like the East San Jose Peace Partnership, which has several work groups that are focused on specific areas like youth development, anti-displacement, community connections. And the South County Youth Task Force, which has a policy committee, tech team, South County Heals, and some other work happening there. In the Community Violence Prevention Strategic Plan, it calls for a policy committee focused on primary prevention. So the goal here is to be able to coordinate across the spectrum and be able to bridge primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention. On my right side here, you see the secondary and tertiary prevention efforts. This is what makes up the Department of Service, the Justice Support Services Department. And then at the bottom, you see our We All Play a Role campaign, which is a prevention effort that is really the through line across how we coordinate among all of the different partners. Data evaluation, quality improvement is called out in the Community Violence Prevention Plan. There will be efforts to apply a framework to understand how we measure success, knowing that that's going to vary by different groups and initiatives, given that for some groups, they're providing more individual support case by case, whereas for other areas like in primary prevention, we're focused at the community level, focused on improving the environment, reducing risk factors, and promoting protective factors. So that's going to vary. And then in the bottom, it's our best attempt at depicting how we're collaborating with other groups like City of San Jose, Yay, the Children and Youth Master Plan. In South County, there's the South County Systems of Care. We understand there's Gilroy Thrives. There's other groups in South County that will be integrated into the entire frame. But I think ultimately what this is showing is an illustration on the overall governance structure, if you will, or the cross-collaboration that has been outlined in the county's Community Violence Prevention Strategic Plan.
Thank you. Can you tell me who, it's the bridge that I'm most interested in, because if we want continuity, if we want to know if the primary strategies are working, if we, just the whole piece, who is this policy committee that's in the blue circle? If they are primary prevention, let me ask one question at a time. Who is that policy committee?
Yes, as outlined in the County Violence Prevention Strategic Plan, who makes up the policy committee are different groups of people that are part of other coalitions, such as representation from East San Jose Peace Partnership.
So the people, the groups on the left.
Right, so the orange, when we're thinking,
the orange,
so the orange. Okay. But also we have to consider the green elements and the purple elements.
Right.
There are structures, coalitions, network within those groups. The idea of the policy committee in its onset is to talk about the narrative change, is how to apply a public health lens to secondary and tertiary prevention.
To both, yes.
To
Okay.
both, right.
So does public health lead the blue circle work?
We co-lead it with Casey and her team, so the new Justice Service Support Department. We will co-lead.
And Supervisor, we would very much welcome, I think to the comments from our public speakers, there is some shaping and mission envisioning that will continue to be done in the next several months as this new department takes shape, providing that the board approves it. And we would certainly welcome your and other supervisors' input as we move forward. I know you're a champion of this work, to see if your vision in JSSD can fulfill that vision for the Office of Violence Prevention, or if there's additional programs and services we need to consider within the public health framework to really meet that goal. I think there's opportunities in both, but I also think community stakeholder input's going to be really critical for that.
Critical, and that may assuage my
Agreed.
concerns. And I will say that this second chart is very helpful in reassuring
we're
me
so
that
glad.
the public health-led efforts are not sidelined or deprioritized. So this is helpful, and certainly overall I support the currently proposed goals of the JSSD. Definitely eager to explore how the county develops this new department with the intention to coordinate programs and services across secondary and tertiary. That's also a very helpful distinction, understanding that public health is the lead for the primary, JSSD is the lead for the secondary and tertiary. This policy committee that has representatives from both is the nexus, and we are going to do really good, helpful, pro-social, proactive, economically stabilizing things for our community members. And at the center of that is all of the youth sitting in the back of the room. So I am happy to make a motion to approve, to receive this report
Second.
Thanks. I don't have additional direction, but absolutely want to be included in the design of the stakeholder
We would welcome
outreach.
that.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Supervisor.
Yes, thank you. So thanks for putting these charts together and also the substantial outreach with many of the stakeholders. Clearly, they're here. They've heard the information, and I think they like what they hear, which is very helpful. Certainly, this is not just going to be a couple meetings and we're done. This is just the beginning of a lot of other type of community engagement that needs to be continuing. So I just want to say thank you for getting this started. When this first came to the board, as a JSSD, I think it caused a lot of unnecessary confusion at the time. And I think at this point forward, I think we're making it very clear what we're trying to do. And that seems to be something that the community also is supportive of, which is great. Okay, so I just want to say thank you for the good work, and let's continue moving this forward and hoping to come up with a much better outcome at the end of the day.
Thank you, Supervisor.
I'm going to back up just a little bit to the earlier part of the presentation where there was a discussion about alternatives to incarceration, et cetera. And I just want to mention that one thing that was not mentioned in that part of the report is that there have been changes in the law.
Yes.
Kowalczyk being one of them, Humphrey before that, which have, I think, are having an impact. And the importance of a really robust pretrial services program, because that's how it works, right? Instead of being in custody, people are out being supervised. And so I just wanted to highlight that one piece.
Thank you so much. And where is that right now? Because I know that we have talked about that. Is that in the ATI spreadsheet somewhere?
I don't think we have updates to the law, though certainly I think that's an excellent point that the judge brings up, and we can add maybe some tracking of where there's been legislative changes that have impacted some of this work. But I think we all agree that a robust pretrial services program, pretrial services is the county's foremost and key alternative to incarceration program. And we've engaged in a lot of deep work in the last year around kind of right-sizing caseloads. I've worked very closely with the CEO, with Rebecca Fleming in the court, to look at what's working, what's not working, and certainly with Matt. And that work is continuing and ongoing and would be updated through the JSSD framework. But I also think updating the ATI with the law and legislation makes a lot of sense too.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right. We have a motion and a second. Let's vote on this item.
Vice Chairperson Lee? And Chairperson Ellenberg?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Item 7 is our opportunity for announcements. Any? Seeing no lights, we'll move to.
Right there, Nick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
They're pointing to me.
I need that. Thank you. Go ahead,
No, I
please.
just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you, both the chair and the co-chair, president, previous president of this board, for all the work that you've done in this space here in the public safety arena, both at the state level and beyond, at the local level, and the support that you've given all of us in this space. I'm saying these things because this is my last meeting, and I want you to know how important the work is that you do and you bring to the attention of our public and our members here in the public safety arena. You have some very, very dedicated people that sit here in their organizations who are really trying to lead in this space across the state, and I'm deeply appreciative to everybody here and the work and the support over my career, the 400 years that I think I've been with the probation department. Just so much gratitude I have for all of you, and certainly the chair and the co-chair here. Just much gratitude. Thank you. My last day will be the July 1st.
Chief Burchard, your impact has been so tremendous and enduring. And when Chief Garnett left, everyone talked about what giant shoes there were to fill because her leadership was extraordinary. And you came in and filled them and then some. And this work and the work of the whole probation department, adult and children, is really continues to be a model for the state. I would normally be nervous about a successor, but seeing our track record and how we move from strength to strength, I feel very confident in the continued excellent work, but boy, I will really miss working with you, Nick. You have been an outstanding leader.
Well, I truly appreciate the kind words. This has been a tough couple weeks to get through. Just look no further than over here with Alex Villa as the assistant chief, and certainly will be interim through this process. And to your point, we pay a lot of attention to succession planning and how we do things. But it doesn't happen without the support, really, of everybody in this room and how we approach the work and the business. People across the state that I'm associated with as the chief probation officers are in awe and envy of our relationships and how we work so close with one another and put clients first. And I think that that's a model that should be shared across the nation. So thank you.
Absolutely, and let's add to your discomfort for just a few more minutes because I see some lights on, so I suspect my colleague and then Greta would like to say a few words. Supervisor Lee?
Oh, sure. Yes, well, first, Nick, congratulations on your well-deserved retirement for more than 25 years of service to our county. That's a quarter century. Over the course of a career, you have helped shape some of our county's most important efforts to support our young people and improve our outcomes for those involved in the justice system. From leading the implementation of the juvenile justice realignment under SB 823 to helping launch an initiative to end girls' incarceration, your work reflected the belief that people deserve opportunities, support, and a chance to succeed. During COVID-19 pandemic, you also played a critical role in overseeing our juvenile facilities and working with our county partners to keep youth and staff safe during an incredibly difficult time. Your career has been defined by service in the best way, compassion, and true commitment to helping others to move forward. I absolutely wish you all the very best in the next chapter and a very well-deserved retirement. Thank you.
Greta?
Well, I will just take this opportunity to say, Nick, I am so personally sad to see you go, but so profoundly grateful on behalf of the community, the county organization, and myself for the wonderful standard you've set in your department and across the county organization for deeply service-rooted leadership. I remember early in my tenure in the county, meeting you for the first time in juvenile hall. And as you know, I came to the county organization having done civil rights work around juvenile justice and racial justice before coming to the county organization. And I think among the reasons that I pivoted from what I thought would be a kind of a nonprofit civil rights advocacy career to staying here at the county was seeing the amazingly inspiring work that was happening in the juvenile probation space related to taking our population in juvenile hall down by hundreds to one of the lowest juvenile incarceration populations for a jurisdiction of our size in the country, while still achieving outstanding public safety outcomes, outstanding rehabilitation outcomes, and really caring for young people who are justice involved in the way that they should be cared for. And so I'm deeply grateful to you, not only for the work you've done in your department, but the degree to which it's inspired other departments, other leaders across the county organization to dig deep in what they can do in their roles to have really wonderful long-term outcomes for the community that we serve, and grateful to you for staying in the community in which you were raised to do decades and decades of service on some of the most challenging work that we do, highest risk work, highest stress work that we do as a county organization, and for also building a wonderful team within your department who will carry that work forward, even when you are spending lots of time with your beautiful grandbaby. So thank you, Nick.
All right. Oh, Sylvia Perez-McDonald, alternate public defender.
Thank you. I still remember when we were working together in the juvenile probation department and you were a manager. And I remember also, like it was yesterday, that you became the chief and we had a meeting. And I remember remembering the values that you had, the philosophy that you had, and how you had been leading by example in your department already before you took over the position. And then you just led with humility, with a lot of compassion, with kindness, and also with just an immense sense of responsibility for the work. And for you to be able to leave now with a plan of succession for your department, your team, your managers to continue to build on that is really, really impactful, and we are so grateful to you. So we wish you the very best.
And I just want to thank you, Nick, for encouraging us to support having probation in the community, not only at the Reentry Resource Center in South County, but also your support in the pop-up resource fairs, making sure that the mobile probation van is in the community, and that you also was persistent in making sure that we have a Reentry Resource Center staff at the probation lobby once a week, so we could have better engagement with our clients. So thank you.
You can feel free to gavel this anytime you would like to end this.
Okay, Kavita, and then Matt, sorry.
I have to pile on, but I'll be very brief. In the almost 14 years I've been with the County Counsel's office, and almost that entire time doing legal work in public safety and justice, the probation department has always been considered a plum assignment in our office that people not fight over, but really want. And the attorneys who get to work with you and the dedicated probation department staff love the assignment, and that's in large part because of the culture that you and your predecessors have set in terms of the values of the department, the deep service orientation to all the clients you serve, and partnership with your fellow public safety and justice departments throughout the county, and because it's like a playground for lawyers. It's interesting issues that really matter. So I know that we'll be carrying that forward with Alex and with the rest of the probation department, but we'll be very sad to see you go.
Thank you.
Matt.
Chief Burchard, I've told you many times, you remind me so much of my father, who was a probation administrator. And it's because of the way you treat your clients and your staff with so much compassion and support. Really appreciate the questions you ask in these meetings, like what exactly does that warm handoff look like? And just really innovative ideas and the support you provided to pretrial. So thank you so much for your mentorship.
Thank you all. That's so much not what I expected. I was just wanting to announce to let everybody know. So thank you again.
Thank you again, Nick. Item 8 is our moment of adjournment. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Thursday, August 13th, 2026 at 10 a.m. Happy July break to everyone.
Summer is here. Yes.